I think it has something to do with like arranging the system to notice, to like privilege noticing anomalies or inconsistencies or mispredictions or contradictions. Um, so like there's sort of a question then of like why don't people's systems like do that all the time? Um, yeah, like I don't know if intention is sort of a natural kind, but like something about what the system is sort of trying to do, or like the local telos of the system, does affect what the system is like quote unquote paying attention to, does affect kind of the comparisons that it makes, does affect, arousal, vigilance, whatever. So like I don't want to inappropriately sort of reify any of those things, but like something kind of in that space, yeah. So like it must be some kind of like bandwidth thing or life strategy thing, like because like sometimes like it does make sense to sort of blunder through uh social situations or like fears or like whatever, where you sort of ignore like low level details and just kind of like push through it. So like some kind of like forcing or override or something. But in other cases like that will be disastrous. um and in the short term, like, or like self-defeating in the long term, whether that's like 2 years or 5 years or 10 years or whatever. And so yeah, like sometimes like it makes sense to do like the careful thing. um and if one is doing the careful thing, then one might start to notice like all sorts of subtle ways in which like quote unquote like bad things are happening or problematic things, or like, that's funny. um and so like I'm sort of noticing kind of a relativity or like or an inadequacy of language here, but like something in that space, like why aren't people performing scientific experiments all the time if like science is so useful? Well, like there's a lot of reasons why. Like sometimes you sort of go with like tradition or what's worked before, or like you kind of like blunder through like in the moment. And I think there's a similar thing with meditation where like, I mean, I think it's pretty similar. I think it is a good analogy between like science and meditation. Um, like like yes, sort of science is, depending on your definition of science, there's a community thing and there's like all these extra layers of like whatever. But no, like I mean, I think meditation is like developing it is developing better abstractions through like engagement with concretes. And like setting up reality to provide new and different kinds of information. Like, I mean, I think meditation is like sort of setting up, trillions of like little micro experiments. Um, uh, so like, there's a way in which scientific experiments are like very, very, very contrived, um, like very, very, very unnatural. Um, and so like theoretical knowledge, scientific knowledge is sort of um, we get it by like unnaturally like rearranging the world to like sort of force the world to give us things back on like artificial joints or something like that. um and uh you know and so like is that carving reality at its joints? Like yes, but also like along very human lines or something. I don't know, there's something like really weird going on there. And like I think that there's something similar with meditation too, um, where one is arranging the self to cause like sort of reality to provide sensory data in patterns that like transform the system. Um, and there's like something like there's something deeply natural about that. I mean, like the like quote unquote endless end state like is sometimes called like the natural state. But then there's also something like really unnatural about that as well. Otherwise, like everybody would be enlightened already. Um, yeah, that's a nice distinction. Uncommon, but not unnatural.